how did you decide to make that first house a co-living house?
Yes. So, and this is in the career where I was already kind of checked out. So I even negotiated. I was like, you know what? I'm moving to LA. Family's in LA. If you want to keep me, you can. And they let me they go full-time remote. This is before COVID and everything. And they let me go full-time remote. So I moved to LA and I'm like, okay, LA compared to the Bay Area, a little bit more affordable, right? So it's like, okay, this is probably regardless of a better place to start real estate in. And if I want to be in LA long-term, probably be a good place to start doing real estate here. So
there's not many people in the United States that would call LA a real estate affordable, but I love that. I love that you had such high standards being in the Bay Area that you're like, this is actually I can buy this stuff.
Compared to the Bay Area. Yeah.
Got it.
No, it helps starting from shopping at places in the Bay Area, because everything else you compare to, it's like, oh, this could work. But yeah, no. So at this point, my dad has a small cleaning company. One of his customers is this guy, Jason. Jason's awesome. He basically took the time to meet with me. And this was, I think, as I was graduating, because I already knew I wanted to invest in real estate. My dad said, I know this guy does real estate. You should talk to him. So we went to lunch and he basically told me, I told him my plan that I was thinking, like the bigger pockets, like, hey, buy duplex, triplex, fourplex. And he told me, yeah, that could work, but you won't get that much cash flow. You won't make that much money. And it's not going to move the needle as much. Long-term, it's great, but short-term, it's not going to move the needle as much to the freedom that you want. So he basically at the time had 10 houses in Vegas where he was doing, this is 2019, I think, he was doing co-living, 7 to 8 bedroom houses, where he kind of started one, kind of slowly scaled up and whatnot. And he told me, hey, he had one in LA, but it was only a 6 bedroom. But he told me, hey, I think you should look for a large single family home so you can do co-living. And we didn't use the term co-living at the time, but he said so you can do co-living and make a little bit more cash flow in LA.
What was the term at the time? Was it just like room rentals?
Room rentals, yeah, rent by the room.
Rent by the room, yeah, got it.
And yeah, so I started looking. Took a month, 2 months.
Hey man, you missed a key point of this whole thing. You actually listened to your mentor. Guys, if you get, and it must have resonated with you, but when you get advice and it resonates, like if someone's listening to this podcast and they're like, that's a cool idea, you actually changed your strategy. You actually went out and said, that makes more sense. I'm taking action on this. That is kudos to you. And it's so simple, but so few people do it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely key. And I was a little skeptical, right? Because it sounds crazy. It's like, how are 8 people going to live together? But obviously learn the model and whatnot. But I started looking, and I found a couple places. And just for context, right? So this is me after my past, having religiously paid all these credit cards down, saved enough for my down payment. I'm terrified. This is my life savings, right? It's like 60, 70K that I have. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to do this random co-living thing where it's like, is the city going to complain and I'm not going to be able to rent it out? It was terrifying for me. And I hadn't gone through escrow before. I had no idea of what was happening. So it was so important to have someone that I could pick up the phone and be like, hey, Jason, the agent said this, is he scamming me? I had no idea what was going on. Right. So very valuable for me to actually follow his advice and also have the person to kind of I'll be like, hey, look at this. I just got put an offer for this one. What do you think about this house? So he turned a couple down. He told me, hey, these probably not good fits. And then we found one that we got close to and didn't work. And then found the perfect one to where it used to be like a sober home. It was because a typical home, you don't really go past 5, 6 bedrooms. So this was an as is 8 bedroom, fully legally. That's how it was done. 8 bedroom, 4 bathroom home. And it had 2 living rooms. So when I saw it, I think at the time, this was in February 2020, I think it was 710. It was 710. And
710,000.
Yeah, 710,000
for clarity. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it was competitive. For some reason, people wanted that house, and I ended up paying $782 for it.
Let's go. Wait, but what year did you buy it in though?
What's that?
What year did you buy it in?
2020.
So 2020. So this is after COVID broke out. Interest rates started dropping.
This is February 2020.
Oh, right before COVID broke out.
Before COVID, yeah. It was a little scary. Okay. Yeah.
So market was still hot. You paid $72,000 over asking. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
10% over asking.
Just because it made sense for me, right? My numbers, my co-living numbers were different from a traditional rental or Airbnb, whatever everyone else was trying to do with the property. For me, it was worth more. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just, again, I'm just trying to extract. There's so many lessons in what you're saying. I'm just trying to like pull that out for our listeners and everybody. And so I think that there's something really beautiful about knowing what you can pay for a property. Like, hey, because I always want to feel like I'm getting a good deal. So what you did, I hate to do. I hate to pay over asking. I always want to feel like I'm working a deal. But sometimes it's worth more than they're asking to rent it out as a single family home. No way, right? But like to rent it out as you knew your numbers, you knew what you could pay, you knew this thing was still going to cash flow, and you knew you had that margin to pay more. So again, you recognized that. That was a very intuitive thing that either someone told you that, or you just intuitively knew that, or maybe not even intuitively. That's not the right word, because you knew your numbers. So it wasn't intuitive. It was a logic, fact-based decision. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I mean, it came after like analyzing 20 other properties. At that point, you get comfortable with like your spreadsheet and the numbers, and you're like, okay, this seems right. Like, but yeah, it was terrifying. I would wake up in the middle of the night wondering, like, is this whole thing like a scheme? Am I going to lose my money somehow? What's going to happen? Well, it's terrifying, right? But ended up closing, went well, and then we closed, and then COVID hits.